station was the northern terminus of services to London and opened in July 1880. After 89 years as a railway terminus, it closed to passengers in May 1969. It was renovated as an exhibition centre and was opened by the Queen in 1982. It plays a successful and very important part in city life and is also host to conferences involving the main British political parties. The Midland Hotel was built in 1903 by Charles Trubshaw for the Midland Railway Company. On May 4th, 1904, Charles Rolls met local manufacturer Frederick Royce in the hotel. Together, they created the Rolls-Royce Motor Company. Inside Adam Reed's celebrated French restaurant, diners have included Winston Churchill and General Patton. The Beatles were once refused entry because they were dressed inappropriately. The Midland was where David Beckham dated Posh Spice or Victoria Adams when he played at Manchester United.
Hello guys, welcome to another video. Welcome to the Manchester Sightseeing, operated by one of the Scania Omni Cities. Today it's not a Trident. Today it's 2905, a 09 plate Scania Omni City, ex-Stagecoach London. Today we're just here at Manchester, going to Team Sports later, but we're just having a ride on this tour bus. So as you can see, the good sky is out at Manchester this morning. Hoping to be a good day up until showers about 6 o'clock this evening, so we'll try and be out of Manchester by then. But so welcome aboard me, my local adventures. So here we're at the McDonald's. I'm just going to take a minute while I can get this on, so bear in mind. We're in Manchester today, so put the hoodie back on. But although it's warm today, but on the buses they do get cold if you're travelling on an open topper. So yeah, so today we're just in Manchester having a good time. We're going to Team Sports later at Trafford Park, going go-karting today at 5 o'clock. So yeah, we're just going to. There'll be 2 videos of this today. This tour bus service should be the second one on a different open top. That's at the Trout. Like I say, we're in Manchester. Yeah, and enjoy my video today. I do apologise about this, just putting it down on the chair there, but to be fair, it's warm. So it will not be warm in a minute. It's about dropping cold with it being an open top bus. You don't get warm on open toppers, so yeah. Also today my family is currently going. My family are in London, so whilst they're in London today, I decided to just why not go to Manchester for the day. Just to do some vlogging and that. So yeah. So if this is a non-sports. This is a non-sports. So this is non. Oh, what do they call it? One of these Scanias Omni. I've only seen them. This is the first time I've been on an Omni City open top. I've been on a close little trip on close topper at Blackpool with Transpower. Which this is out now. This is part Transpower. So the coastliner, which used to catch 22 even, coastliner, did the catch 22 on the 26th, which is still running, but to be fair today, with it being nice weather, they can open top on it, well, when it's a nice day, they can open top on the 26th. So yeah, I've got you all here. So here we are, just passing through a bit of Manchester. So there's the Tesco's Express. There's Clay. I don't know what that is. It's Claire's. I don't go to. And there's a Meat Network. Also, last time I filmed this stagecoach operated in Manchester. However, B Network have took stagecoach over. So now the buses, which is all the buses what stagecoach did out, and stagecoach and commercial started this year on the first Saturday, and since then B Network Trench 3 have took over so Arthur Manchester, including that E400 MMC, which was with stagecoach, is now B Network. So that's going to three bus.
Manchester Central Library opened in 1934. The opening was attended by King George V. Manchester schoolchildren before the event were given handkerchiefs printed with the brave words, "Knowledge is power." That remains true today, as does the library's popularity. Following refurbishment and reopening in 2014, there have been around 1.4 million visits each year. Attention, we will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated. King Street is one of the grandest city streets with many notable buildings. The sandstone building with attached columns on the right was the first permanent provincial bank of England from 1846. The very large white Portland stone building was built as the offices for the Manchester Ship Canal in 1929. Opposite is the former Reform Club, now occupied by restaurants and shops, including Pretty Green, a shop owned by Liam Gallagher, formerly of the Manchester band Oasis. On the first floor is a balcony from which Prime Ministers such as William Gladstone, Winston Churchill and Lloyd George spoke. Known as Metrolink, Manchester's tram system is the largest in the UK. In 1988, government approval was granted to bring trams back to the streets of Manchester, and the first route between Bury and Victoria Station was opened in 1992. There are now 8 routes running through the city centre and into Greater Manchester. In addition, there is the Metro Shuttle, a free bus system numbered 1, 2 and 3, linking the main rail stations, car parks, shopping areas and businesses. Attention, we will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated. All the banks and former banks on these streets led the area to be dubbed the Half Square Mile, after the Square Mile financial district in London. Manchester's city centre main radio transmitter crowned City Tower, the tallest element of the complex, at 107 metres or 352 feet. The concrete decoration down the side is said to represent early computer circuitry, a nod to Manchester's status as a computer pioneer, particularly for the machine-tagged Baby from 1948, the first computer to have an electronic memory. As we approach the traffic lights, you might glimpse Manchester's Chinatown and its magnificent gate. The district has restaurants, medicine shops, financial and legal services, and supermarkets.
Yeah, the Chinatown. Also, the manager just said what it's popular for. If I were you, if I was at this place here, I would happily grab one of these and proceed to eat these. If you're leopard or oats. Obviously you're not, so you'll become a legend one day, a local legend. And also if you're wanting to know about politics and all that, you can ask me anytime, so ask me out anytime, so travel direct to London.
This area around Canal Street comprises Manchester's gay village. The pedestrianised street, which runs along the west side of the Rochdale Canal, is lined with bars and restaurants. Canal Street was developed when the canal was constructed in 1804, a trade artery running through the city and the first waterway to cross the country linking east and west coasts. Pubs and other businesses evolved to service the users of the canal. Canal Street is the hub for the Manchester Pride Big Weekend, held each August bank holiday. Starting off from humble beginnings in 1989, the event is now one of the largest of its kind within the UK.
Let's have a look what's out. This is not tracking, obviously 2905. GPS system on the ticket machine is not very good today, so badly behaved, bad bus, so yeah. There's one at Skeniers.
A-Town Street is named after Roger A-Town. A-Town came to Manchester from Scotland in 1769. In his 20s, Roger married 65-year-old Barbara Minshull to much scandal, who was one of the North West's wealthiest people and owner of swathes of land across Manchester. The most prominent building on the street is the mighty Crown Courts complex over the Rochdale Canal. It was designed by Thomas Worthington and opened in 1871 as the City Police Courts. Attention! We will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated.
So just see. Yeah, we're now moving. Also, that could lead to an accident, what that person has just done with his car, so yep, you'll regret that. I wouldn't want to go on their bus at all, to be honest, but here we are, I'm still here, knocking about. There we are. That's where the trams are based. Just watching. So, to Leeds. Don't worry there, guys. There's a man, guy who I know who lives at Staley Bridge. For some strange reason, and he's a bus enthusiast. There's just 8 people knocking about here today, but he's gone to Leeds. There's an enthusiast who lives at Staley Bridge, who comes over to Derbyshire. There's a free bus. That's an interesting bus, that actually. Let's try one. I've been on one of them before, so. Now finally it's coming up on ticket machine. 2905 E400 Scania. Yeah, 2 minutes late. It's coming up finally now. Ticket machine is finally wigged on its end, which is good. So we know this is out. 2904 should be out today. Find it. Ticket machine has picked bus times as it's logged as ticket 1. It's now finally logged it as a trip. So yeah. There's number 18. There we are, we're in outside Wetherspoons. Yeah. Unfortunately, seats are good on open tail. So I'd rather be on this when it's nice. I'm trying to support Dennis Trident enthusiast, which is now one extinct years ago, but. So I do try and support. I'm trying to support some Scanias.
Hello, my name's Naomi and I will be assisting Dominic with this tour today. If you've just joined the tour, welcome aboard. Get comfy and enjoy the ride. But first, a few messages. The tour lasts for approximately 75 minutes, but you can hop on or off at any of our stopping places. In the interest of safety, can you please remain seated at all times? We will pass under several bridges, therefore no standing is allowed on the upper deck at any time.
So we're just outside Wetherspoons. Obviously the crowd coming in today. There is a
Before 1755, the area, now known as Piccadilly Gardens, which lies on the left, was occupied by water-filled clay pits called the Daub Holes. In 1755, the Manchester Royal Infirmary was built here. The majority of the hospital buildings were demolished in 1910, and in 1914, the area was finally cleared and transformed into a large space within the city centre. It was in the former Royal Hotel in Piccadilly Gardens where the world's first professional football league was ratified in 1888.
Ex-stagecoach, 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 ex-stagecoach hybrid. I mean, that's from Newcastle, to be honest. Ex-stagecoach E400 MMC. Yeah, that's next stagecoach. That's next stagecoach, and that is X first. X go ahead. So yeah, quite a few buses from an old operator. This is the next Stagecoach London.
We are now entering an area known as the Northern Quarter. The streets around here, Newton Street, Lever Street and Stevenson Square, are characterised by large converted textile warehouses. They hint at Manchester's previous dominance, when the city controlled 80% of the world's cotton trade. UK production would peak between 1912 and 1914, with up to 8 billion linear yards of finished cotton production. The nearest rival was Japan with 56 million linear yards. Business declined after World War II, as production rose in countries closer to the raw material and with cheaper labour. The Royal Exchange closed in 1968, and there is no cotton industry in Greater Manchester today. The old warehouses in the city centre still provide strong bones for the city, and have now been converted into apartments, offices, bars and restaurants. Famous Northern Quarter shopping can be found in Affleck's Palace and Manchester Craft and Design Centre. There are numerous live music venues such as Band on the Wall, The Castle, Night and Day and Matt and Fred's. Stevenson Square was previously Manchester's Speaker's Corner start point of marches and parades. Those seeking democratic reform, such as Chartists, union members and suffragettes, would address crowds here. Today, colourful street art makes for a lively scene.
So this is where mud looks down here, so yeah. There's another trick. There's the next Stagecoach MMC.
Manchester Arndale follows the curve of the road here on the left. Building commenced in 1972, when the area was a patchwork of mostly Victorian buildings forming a 17th and 18th century layout of streets and alleys. This area has been rebuilt in the last couple of decades. On Saturday, June 15th, 1996, the IRA day detonated a powerful bomb in Corporation Street, causing devastating damage to the Arndale Centre and surrounding areas, but there were no fatalities. The bomb rebuild has won many awards, provided far more public space, and attracted big names in retail and food and drink. These days, Manchester Arndale is home to over 200 stylish stores, making it one of the largest inner-city shopping centres in the UK. The Printworks entertainment venue is located on the site of the business premises of the 19th century newspaper proprietor Edward Holton, established in 1873. The current premises became the largest city centre newspaper printing house in Europe and housed a printing press until 1986. Visitors today will find an array of restaurants, bars, clubs, and even an IMAX cinema. The large building on the left over the tram line is the Corn Exchange, a fine Edwardian building mostly from 1903, now home to a wide variety of restaurants.
There's nothing about Manchester, so yeah. Something good's not happened, something good's not happened, so yeah.
Our next stop is the National Football Museum. The green glass building on the left, hosting the National Football Museum, is called Urbis and opened in June 2002 as a symbol of regeneration after the IRA's 1996 Manchester bombing. Since 2012, Urbis has been home to the National Football Museum, which, covering 4 floors, has the largest collection of football-related memorabilia in the UK and attracts over 500,000 visitors each year.
Stagecoach driver, stagecoach bus. The Manchester Victoria is here.
The original Victoria Station was designed by George Stephenson and completed by 1834, of which part still remains in the current structure. The 2012 new block of Chetham's School of Music is on the left. The school was established in 1969, incorporating Chetham's Hospital School, founded as a charity school by Humphrey Chetham in 1653. Events venue Manchester Arena, seen here, opened in 1995 and has the highest seating capacity of any indoor venue in the United Kingdom and the second largest in Europe, with a capacity of 21,000. The Bee Gees, 10cc, Joy Division, New Order, The Smiths, Simply Red, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, Oasis, The Verve, Take That, and on and on. Greater Manchester has given rise to large numbers of musical performers. The Halle Orchestra, created in 1858 and named after the German inspiration and first conductor, Charles Halle, is one of the several orchestras in the city. The BBC Philharmonic and the Manchester Camerata are the other 2 main orchestras. The ancient sandstone walls of Chetham's rise up on the left. These are in many ways the most enchanting Manchester buildings and the oldest complete structures in the city. They began life as priests' quarters for the nearby church in 1421. In 1653, through his will, successful merchant Humphrey Chetham created a school for poor boys and a library, much of which can still be visited. Today, it is the School of Music, library is the most precious space in the building and is now the oldest free public library in the English-speaking world. Manchester Cathedral is the seat of the Bishop of Manchester and the city's parish church. Parts of the cathedral date back to 1215. There has been a church on this site for around 1300 years. The cathedral was badly damaged during the Christmas Blitz of 1940, but fortunately, most of the woodwork survived. This forms some of the finest such art in the United Kingdom. The choir and nave ceiling are particularly magnificent. Once across the River Irwell, we are now in the city of Salford, Manchester's twin. It received city status in 1926. A sleepy place until the Industrial Revolution, it shared its neighbour's sudden rise in the early 19th century. It has its own cathedral, university, and was home to the port of Manchester, now the Quays, on the Manchester Ship Canal. With Media City UK, the city hosts perhaps the largest concentration of broadcast media in Europe.
So anyway guys, yeah, so today we're just going to go to Team Sports in a bit. This is a displayed and zone. Monday to Friday it's 8 AM till 6 PM. There's one at LX09 Reds. It sounds like it's a bit like a solo, but 8 till 12:30, so you get. I think it's just due to EU and all that, money being HGV stuff. For example, that's an HGV, very good boat vehicle, operating around stuff like a bottle of water for making a huge difference. Thinking what you want to do with your life. For example, I'm going through at the moment. If I was the one to spend £600, £200 or £100 and £300 on the new 1,000. Depending on the condition.
The old church here is Sacred Trinity and started life in 1634. The tower is original. The rest of the church was rebuilt in 1752. The church was founded 7 years before the outbreak of the English Civil Wars in 1642. The most moving monument within the church is to the 400 officers and men of the Salford battalions of the Lancashire Fusiliers, who were killed on the 1st of July 1916. Not so far away from Sacred Trinity was the site of the Reverend William Cowherd's Bible Christian Church. In 1809, the aptly named preacher persuaded his congregation to give up meat and alcohol. This became the inspiration of the UK's Vegetarian Society, which was formed in 1847 and still resides in the region at Altrincham in South Manchester.
So probably the second video, depends on the charge. How flat it goes on this. Try to charge up on the brake. I don't know, charge it up now because
Cathedral Church of St. John the Evangelist is better known as Salford Cathedral. It was the Roman Catholic cathedral for the region and was designed by Matthew Hadfield and opened on the 9th of August 1848. On the 25th of July 1851, William Turner was consecrated the first Bishop of Salford. The cathedral's eastern window of 1856 depicts the history of Catholic Christianity in England.
After the traffic lights here, there is a view across the meander of the River Irwell, with the West Pennine Moors in the distance. The grassed area, the meadow, in the foreground was the home of the earliest known cricket clubs in the region. The pleasant green space on the right we are approaching features statues of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, surrounded by notable buildings. The oldest of these is the elegant central structure, and was adapted from a former private mansion called Lark Hill. This is now Salford Museum and Art Gallery. The museum and art gallery, with its interesting collections, are free of charge and contain a recreation of a 19th century Salford street, Lark Hill Place. The fierce red building to the left of the museum and art gallery as we look at it was opened as the Royal Technical Institute in 1896 by Henry Lloyd. The institute eventually became the University of Salford in 1967. The 60s buildings to the right comprise part of the university, which has more than 20,000 students. Notable alumni include the comedian Peter Kay and the co-songwriter and guitarist of the Smiths, Johnny Marr. The last house on the left here is the Working Class Movement Library, a treasure trove of pamphlets, magazines, books and other study materials, covering the vital role working class movements have played in creating our modern democracy.
Manchester and Salford are cities of firsts. In the 19th century, Greater Manchester became the world's first modern industrial city. In politics, religion and society, ideas and organisations from Manchester include the Free Trade Movement, the Female Suffragist Movement and Suffragettes, the Trade Union Congress, and as we've seen, vegetarianism.
There's a Volvo, MCV Volvo, Aurora, MCV Aurora, yep. This is a nice journey.
This area of Salford has changed significantly over the last couple of decades and is now dominated by the intersection of the M602 motorway. However, the spire of the Stowell Memorial Church on the right has overlooked the area since 1867 and was built by public subscription after the death of devoted minster Hugh Stowell to honour his life and work. The church was closed in 1981 and demolished in 1990, but the steeple was retained and actually serves as a telephone mast.
There's some trees here.
We are now approaching the headquarters of Manchester Ship Canal. In 1882, Daniel Adamson, an eminent Manchester engineer, organised a campaign for the construction of a canal to allow ocean-going traffic to sail inland as far as the city. Manchester Ship Canal was the largest single engineering project undertaken in 19th century Britain. Opened by Queen Victoria in 1894, the trade the canal generated, together with the largest industrial area of Trafford Park, helped bolster Manchester's industry for decades. In 1983, Salford City Council had acquired 220 acres from the Manchester Ship Canal Company. The area we're approaching was rebranded as Salford Quays, and redevelopment began in 1985. Between 1986 and 1990, the infrastructure of the docks were modified to create an internal waterway network. Moorings and water sports facilities were provided, and a hotel, cinema, housing and offices were built. The key to success was providing culture, retail and food and drink. In the year 2000, the Lowry Theatre opened, which was the catalyst for the second and more successful phase of development. Attention! We will shortly be travelling underneath an electric tram cable. For your safety, please stay seated.
There's a tram cable.
Principally occupied by almost 2,500 BBC staff, who started to arrive in 2011. Among the buildings is Key House, which broadcasts BBC Breakfast, Match of the Day, BBC Radio 5 Live and North West Tonight. Then there's Bridge House, where Blue Peter, Mastermind, Dragon's Den and CBBC are produced. In the main square of Media City UK is a large screen. The dominant building is the studios with its strong colours. This contains 7 high-definition studios. One of the studios is occupied by the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra.
next stop is Salford Quays and Media City. You can get off the bus here to explore the BBC and ITV studios, the Imperial War Museum and the Lowry Theatre and Art Gallery, both of which are free to visit. There are also plenty of opportunities to eat, drink and shop. If you are getting off the bus to explore, please check the schedule for the times of the next and last tours to hop back on later.
The Lowry is free to visit. This stainless steel building was designed by Michael Wilford and comprises 3 stunning theatres, an art gallery, a restaurant, a shop and conference facilities. It opened in 2000 and kick-started the redevelopment of the quays. It attracts several 100,000 people each year. The galleries are devoted to Manchester artist Lawrence Stephen Lowry and to temporary and visiting exhibitions. Lowry was born in Old Trafford, the home of Manchester United, but was a Manchester City supporter. He lived in Greater Manchester in various homes all his life. His work gradually gained fame during his lifetime, their deceptively simple nature and frequently homely themes creating populist appeal. He is famous for his industrial scenes, but should also be remembered for his eerie and desolate landscapes and seascapes.
Oh yeah, if you know what's I mean. So they're all on a swim today. Nice bus today. Scanion, first time I've been on an open top Scanion City, I quite like them. Very nice bus. Try the other one in the video, Scanion City, which is a 58 plate. 6 months older than this, but I'll try the other Omni City in a bit and see what that's like. But it looks a bit different, but I can tell in a bit. Right time for that. Left here, around about, a good river. Ward Sports Centre there. I like driving up there. If you can spot my scent, like water, so it's in red at the looks like a good water if it were cold. Today. But yeah, how I would describe myself is good.
The Manchester Ship Canal enabled the newly created Port of Manchester to become Britain's third busiest port, even though the city was about 40 miles inland. Despite opening in 1894, it was never the commercial success its sponsors had hoped for. The amount of freight carried by the canal peaked in 1958 at 18 million tonnes. The increasing size of ocean-going ships and the port's failure to introduce modern container methods resulted in the volume of freight dropping steadily, and the closure of the docks in Salford in 1984, 90 years after its opening. The canal's water quality has improved in recent years, and there are now several nature reserves along its banks. Locally, increasing populations of ducks, Canada geese, and even swans can be observed. This area of the quays is also commonly used for water sports.
So there's a McDonald's there, another one that's for a couple of seats there, but never mind. It just gets people hungry. Buses now 10% empty, and then 9% empty. So we're gonna go out here, go around, past rubbish Manchester United, best team ever, and back round it. Go past the best football team ever, Manchester United, then back round, then back to Manchester, and that's the tour done. Then dinner. That's be our dinner. We're gonna have to go and get dinner, probably Macca's or something. That's what it is. It's today it's relatively close to Manchester. I've stayed here because the trains aren't going all the way to London, so and trains are going all the way up to Manchester, so we're having a night at London, which I'm not bothered about.
This area of Salford Quays is now one of the most rapidly developing areas of the city, with a mix of retail, business and leisure uses. The 21st century ship canal is symbolised not by ocean-going liners, but by giant projects located along the water's edge, such as the Trafford Centre shopping mall, Media City, and towering office and residential apartments. The lower reaches of the canal are still busy with shipping, particularly around the Queen Elizabeth II dock at Easton and the Stanlow oil refinery, carrying some 7 million tonnes of cargo, mostly oil, chemicals and grain. But the sighting of a cargo ship in the old Manchester docks area is now a rarity. There are, however, regular sightseeing trips between Liverpool and Salford, operated by Mersey ferries. The Trafford Swing Road Bridge on the right was built in 1892 and would swing open, allowing ocean-going cargo ships to travel to the upper reaches of the canal at Pomona docks. It was the largest and heaviest of the ship's canal swing bridges, weighing 1,800 tonnes. In July 1987, the bridge was listed as a Grade 2 structure, and in 1998, the bridge was refurbished and fixed in place as part of a scheme to widen the road to a dual carriageway, with the new bridge that we are driving on built alongside. As we turn right towards Old Trafford, notice on the left the two remnants of former ship canal warehouses, once so typical of the area. The Victoria warehouse today is actually a hotel and popular music venue. Our next stop is Old Trafford, home of Manchester United. Here you can get off the bus and visit the free museum and gift shop, or you can go on a 90-minute stadium tour on non-match days.
Manchester is far more than football, but certainly football provides Manchester with its 21st century dominant brand. The city is home to two of the most popular and successful football teams in the world, Manchester United and Manchester City. Of course, the city region's sporting heritage runs much deeper than football and includes the legacy of the 2002 Commonwealth Games, the successful and efficient coordination of which encouraged London to bid for the 2012 Olympic Games. An array of sporting events takes place year-round. Manchester United was founded as Newton Heath Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Football Club in 1878. It changed its name to Manchester United in 1902, moving to its current stadium here at Old Trafford in 1910. Manchester United have won a record number of league titles and cups. In the 1998-99 season, the club became the first in the history of English football to achieve the treble of the Premier League, FA Cup and UEFA Champions League. The club vies with Spanish giants Real Madrid and Barcelona as the world's most valuable football brand. The Old Trafford capacity of around 76,000 makes it comfortably the largest club ground in the United Kingdom. If you're not lucky enough to get a ticket for a game, a good way of experiencing United's potency is by visiting the museum and tour centre. The museum provides an overview of the club's story. West of Old Trafford, Trafford Park stretches across 4.7 square miles and was the first planned industrial estate in the world and remains the largest in Europe. The western end now hosts the largest shopping mall, Into Trafford Centre, as well as other attractions including the largest indoor ski slope in the UK at Chill Factor.
The Imperial War Museum North is an unusual structure and worth a walk around to get a feel for it. Designed by Daniel Libeskind and opened in 2002. To create the building's design, Libeskind placed a ceramic teapot in a plastic bag and dropped it out of the window. 3 of the broken shards he arranged as a world shattered by war in a pattern representing the 3 theatres of land, sea and air war. The message of the museum is stated as "War shapes lives." This is delivered without judgment, the facts and stories laid before visitors, and covers conflicts since World War I. The temporary exhibitions are always worth visiting, and there are plenty of activities for kids, and of course a cafe and a shop. Coronation Street is a British TV institution. First broadcast on December 9, 1960, it is the longest-running serialised television drama in the world. The show was only commissioned for 6 episodes, and bosses at Granada TV were certain that it would be a failure. However, the British public became hooked on watching the lives of ordinary northern people living in working-class terraced houses. Until the late 1960s, all episodes were filmed within indoor sets at Granada's Quay Street Studios in central Manchester. In 1968, Granada rented a railway yard alongside their studios to erect the programme's first purpose-built outdoor set. In 2014, the show moved to the Quays to form another area of Media City UK, and tours of the set can be pre-booked online.
During the day ticket, but I just probably 2 singles. Well, I'm not going to bother with it. And then that's why I wanted to get back to Manchester usually that time. After they cancelled Bluff and they cancelled Burn, yeah. It's trying to be some things, so all doing the mid.
As we make our way back to the city centre, let's contemplate more of Manchester's firsts. This time in science and industry. John Dalton is a scientific colossus of Manchester. His atomic theory, 1803, with its pioneering work on the constitution of elements, was the precursor of all modern chemistry, whilst his lectures on meteorology turned the study of weather into a science. He was the first to describe colour blindness. James Prescott Joule's name, 1819 to 1889, is the unit of energy, the joule, following his research into the mechanical equivalence of heat. Ernest Rutherford, working at Manchester University, discovered the nucleus of atoms and later how to split them in 1919. His assistant was Hans Geiger of the Geiger counter fame. The life-size silicon bronze memorial of Alan Turing resides at Southfield Gardens, commemorating his achievements. Turing conceived modern computing and through helping to break the Enigma code played a vital role in Allied victory in Nazi Germany in World War II. The first computer with a stored program and memory, nicknamed the Baby, was developed at Manchester University in 1948 by Professors Tom Kilburn and Fred Williams. The first child of in vitro fertilization, IVF, was Louise Brown, born in Oldham General Hospital. The Nobel Prize in Physics in 2010 was awarded to Andrei Gaia and Konstantin Novoselov at the University of Manchester for a groundbreaking experiment regarding the two-dimensional material graphene, the so-called world's thinnest material. As I come into the city,
That's cool, but
centre, there is a large church on the left. This is St George's Church and was designed by Francis Goodwin and opened in 1828. It has now been deconsecrated and converted into apartments. The tower is one large apartment of 9 floors.
The other one is LX58CEV, and this one is LX09 FZR. So LX09 FZR we're on the moment. Then later it's LX58CEV. It's good. We'll see before we've run 3 trials. One's gone to scrap and the other 2 are unknown. Are in storage, unknown, pending uncertain future what'll happen to them, but yeah. Soon these will be old. About 16 years old. In 4 years time this will be 20-year-old. soon. This will be a very old bus. Oh yeah, a decent break on.
As we've shown you around Manchester and Salford, you must have noticed the scale of new developments under construction. Multi-billion-pound investment in business, infrastructure and transport is flowing into the city, both domestically and globally. Huge multinational corporations, such as the BBC, have already relocated away from London to Manchester. As Manchester's population continues to soar, so does the demand for new high-rise residential developments, including properties that now dwarf Beetham Tower, for years the tallest building outside London.
Due to one-lane closure delayed. Now being delayed due to one-lane closure. Traffic's backed up. But it's alright for now, but following its next life. Probably will probably alright, following its next life. So I don't know. It might have depending on the future. Probably fine. Probably in its next probably in its next life. Probably in its next life it'll be fine in its next life. Oh, this has 2 lives. The first one, then after it'll die, then the second one after its first life died, so yeah. Taxis are beating network as well as buses. Yeah, it's supposed to be there over 40,000. This will be We are now approaching Liverpool Road and the Science Museum stop, which heralds the entry into Castlefield. It is one of the strongest urban landscapes in the UK, a place where the Romans settled in Manchester and where the oldest industrial age canal meets the oldest passenger rail station in the world. On the other side of Liverpool Road is the basin of the Bridgewater Canal and the outdoor arena. This section opened in 1765, the first proper artificial navigation for industry in this country. The first building on the left here
is the oldest and first passenger railway station in the world. This was the Manchester end of the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, which was opened in 1830. The immediate success of the railway meant it was copied across the country and then across the world. The station building is part of the Museum of Science and Industry, which is the next stop for this tour. People of all ages, especially families, will enjoy visiting the museum, and entry is free. The range of exhibitions is huge, covering steam engines, space, cotton, gas, water, electricity, computers, photography, aviation, Manchester's history, the city's part in pioneering achievement, and also a planetarium. The buildings, unusually for a museum, play their part too. Spread out across 7 acres, wandering from railways to aviation becomes an event in itself. On the right, going up Liverpool Road, there are reconstructed sections of Manchester's Roman fort. The Romans spotted Manchester's potential in 79 AD and recognised the strategic value of the rounded bluff over the confluence of the rivers Irwell and Medlock. They stayed for over 3 centuries.
Yeah, so Manchester now back. Yeah, looks like this will go straight out and let's delay. There we can do it. There's the next stagecoach, end of hour 400 MMC, which has been refurbished into the current B network, stagecoach B network. But however, the stagecoach B network means that the B net and buses have turned yellow into the B network. For example, a few ex-stagecoach Yorkshire hybrids.
Dominating everything is Beetham Tower by Manchester's Simpson Hoff architects. It is 47 stories tall, was completed in 2006 and cost £150 million, split between the Hilton and private apartments. At level 23 is Cloud 23, the viewing bar and top floor of the hotel. At 168 metres or 551 feet, Beetham Tower is easily the tallest building outside London. It delivers a stark, simple profile to the city, although its slender profile from east to west is dramatic. With a ratio of 1 to 10, it is one of the thinnest skyscrapers anywhere. The architect himself, Ian Simpson, lives on the top floor duplex that spans the whole building and includes an internal garden of lime, lemon and oak trees.
electric is on the B network metro line. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, subscribe, and hopefully that's where my dinner is going to be taking place. I've got the break coming up now, which I won't be after this course. This is on the 40-minute break, then I've got another one after.
We are now back at Manchester Town Hall, and your Manchester tour is complete. We hope you've learnt some new facts about Manchester's rich history of innovation and achievement. We would like to thank you for travelling with us, and we hope you found the tour to be enjoyable. Remember that your ticket is valid for 2 days, giving you the opportunity to explore some of the sights you've seen on this tour. When leaving the bus, please make sure that you have all your personal belongings with you.
Get ready, so enjoy the video. Alright, thanks for watching, take care, subscribe, and see you later. Goodbye. Now we're gonna all this up here. And yeah, thanks for watching, subscribe, and see you later.